And, because it is the one true mind, what you desire desires you. So the manifestation goes both ways.
All right, so I said we were going to end at Easter, but right there you provoked something very interesting because this is something that comes up a lot, and if Campbell's still here, so you don't know. I get you probably don't know this dude, but it's pretty common point that people make amongst people who talk about the law or even just talk about the law of attraction, how they talk about the concept that your desire also desires you. It makes sense in terms of people, because you can think, well, the other person wants me too, no matter what the conditions of that relationship are. But kind of makes less sense with something vague. But when you really look at it, what it essentially means is that um, the deeper, true God self in you has certain things that it really wants to experience as you. So if it's a state of wealth, if it's a state of prominence in a career, God within you sees that as an ideal expression for you. And so that's why the desire is there. I mean, how do you look at that common point? How do you think about that?
Well, I mean, I think about it that particularly when it comes to things that I've desired, so much has to come into place that had nothing to do with a specific person. But I think the perfect example was in 2019, I really wanted to live at the beach and I couldn't afford it. And, I obviously had other obligations, but I really wanted to live at the beach. And I just visualized what it would be like to swim at the beach and know that I lived there. And so in this particular case, everything had to come together from work, from the assignment, from the temporary rental that I got from work that was literally across the street from the beach. Um, all of those things had to come into perfect place, and a lot of people had to put in their time and effort for this manifestation to come to fruition. And so, in this particular case, my desire was to live at the beach, and that had nothing to do with anybody else. And it wasn't something that, the water itself is not consciously calling me, but at the same time, the beach had to play its own role, the rental had to play its own role, my employer had to play their own role, the landlord had to play their own role. So I desired this, and in a way, it desired me back because everything had to line up perfectly for me to get that location for the summer. So I absolutely believe that what you desire desires you right back. There's a way for you to receive it if you desire it.
And I mean, practically, there was a specific someone who wanted to rent. They wanted that rental occupied, and probably by someone who was literally you, someone who would really enjoy their time there. People have these preferences.
Yes. So all those things fell into place because I wanted that manifestation.
And if you look at it from the other end, where um, going back to and this was a preconscious manifestation for you, but I think it demonstrates this really well, where you made the list of qualities you wanted in a certain employee, and then that person showed up.
Yes, that was absolutely a perfect example.
So that right there is a perfectly matched desire. But the way you could think of it in terms of something that is, well, with money, there's people involved. But let's say it's a certain level of accomplishment in a career that is not one where a lot of people are going to know. Like, only people in the field are really going to know. And yeah, it may have some impact on the wider world, but for the most part, you're going to be unknown outside of that narrow industry. In that case, I think it's that version of you that wants to see who you are now in that spot. So it's like there's that there's this desire in you to obtain mastery because the version of you that has that mastery just knows that you're so much more of an expression of self having attained that. So it's like a call from your alternative self, from like your parallel reality self, which, God within you who is infinite intelligence knows that that version of you exists, that infinite of that version of you exists, and so is calling you over to it because the you in that reality is just happier. And they know you would be happier if you were there with them, if you were unified with their mind, if you were them at that moment, that you would be more fulfilled in every way. So when it comes to something where it's mostly about you, that's how you can think of it, as like your parallel self feels bad about you not having it right now and is trying to pull you over to this better reality. What do you think about that? Have you ever thought about it that way?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people have really listed a similar example when they talk about, well, visualize the you who already has the solution to the problem you're asking. What does that version of you look like, feel like? And so that's not something that I've actually tried, but I have seen and heard other uh, manifesting individuals talk about that approach of what does the you who already has this answer look like or sound like or feel like. I think more specifically feel like than the others. Um, so yeah, like I said earlier, it is very easy to impress the subconscious mind. So just about anything and everything you try, you will usually have some sort of success, which is also incredibly reassuring, especially when you're a beginner. And it seems like such a big order, but it really isn't.
Yeah, of course, our directive in terms of mental diet and really in terms of everything is to have the mental activity that would be yours if you already had the thing accomplished and manifested out. And so if you're having a little bit of struggle finding what those thoughts are, finding where your mind is at once the thing's already manifested, you can visualize talking to yourself, talking to that version of yourself who has the thing. Are you familiar with the guy Burt Goldman who does quantum jumping?
I am not.
So here's what's interesting about him. He wrote a lot of self-help books, but he was in like some other industry like engineering before that. And as far as I know, he knows nothing about Neville and very little about manifesting. However, he spent a lot of time on this thing called quantum jumping, and what he does is he does a very Neville-like visualization activity where he enters in his mind a parallel reality and meets with parallel cells to obtain information. And he has gotten really good at it over the years. He's used it to maneuver in business as well as acquire different skills. Like he used it to learn how to cook and how to paint. And he went and like in a couple years he went from not knowing how to paint to painting selling for quite a lot of money, even though he had never painted before in his life, and he picked up this skill in his 80s. And he said the way he did it was he would meet in his mind with the version of him who is an incredibly accomplished painter, has always been a painter, is basically a master, and that guy would teach him how to paint. Now, I think that is quite an incredible feat of imagination. You may not attain that the first time, but like, let's say you do want something simple. You want a job. You can certainly visualize talking to you who has been in the job for 2 weeks and asking that version, hey, what's it like? What are you thinking now? What did you tell your mom? What did you tell your friends about having this job? Or if it's a relationship, okay, you guys been back together for 6 months. Maybe they've already proposed, you're going to get married, blah, blah, blah. Hey, what's your life like now? What's the relationship like? What are you doing with your time now that you've manifested them? What's going through your head? How do you feel? How do you feel now about yourself? How do you feel now about this relationship? Talk to that version of you. So if you can't connect with it in first person, doing it in third person might be helpful. And if you can't incorporate the visual aspect, you can certainly imagine a conversation with yourself because you're talking to yourself all the time anyway. So just talk to this different version of you. Just make contacts with that. I think it's a very, very interesting exercise to try. Another exercise, and I gave it last stream or the stream before, but I'm going to give it again. I don't know if you remember this. So I came across it in the lecture I was doing 2 streams back, where Neville talks about actively visualizing that you're in a garden and there's a great giant waterfall, and you can that waterfall is like the golden liquid light, and you can channel that through your heart and go anywhere in the garden, which is Eden, and just boom, throw that water on it, and it will just light up and come to life. And basically, what he tells you to do is, as you go through the garden, you see people that you know, and they each kind of have their own little garden going on. They're each little portion of the vast infinite garden, and you go and you identify the aspects of their garden that need help. So here's their health tree is a little bit looking ragged. You would then boom visualize seeing that infinite well of water you have in your heart flowing onto their tree and restoring it to life. You go to another friend and they have a lot of weeds, so you help them pick out the weeds. Maybe some of their flowers are not looking good. Boom, splash of water. The flowers symbolizing their monthly income, or just boom, spring of life. Another person's not doing great in their relationships. They're like field of corn that symbolizes their relationships. All the corn is dead. You go and just spray it, light it up, and that's a really like easy way. In like if you're struggling with the details of the conversation, or what they would say to you once the thing is in the circumstance they would prefer, especially when it's something like someone who has a lot of health problems. This is an easy workaround because you can just water their health tree and see them so bright, so vibrant and happy, instead of telling them that this condition and that condition. They're going through the whole list of things that they've given as complaints to you in the past. You can just simply visualize that. And when it comes to like reuniting two people who've been apart, who want to be in a committed love relationship, just put them in front of a tree that symbolizes their love. Throw that water on there, and see them turn from facing away to facing towards each other and kissing in front of the tree. It's a really easy, simple exercise, and I recently did it. Recently, as in today and yesterday, where I just kind of walked through the garden and visited certain people that I know want things. And then, just like toured their little garden, hung out with them, watered certain plants that they wanted watered. The other thing I did for everybody was I taught them that weeds, symbolizing unwanted thoughts, unpleasant thoughts, negative thoughts, help them pick out all their weeds, and then said, check it out, you can mulch these and then use that as fertilizer for your garden. So, in other words, pluck those out, grind them up so you're never going to encounter them again, and spread them all over, to bring forth new growth. Um, so you can do that as like I did it for like a pretty extended exercise because I was just having fun with it. I was just enjoying really seeing the different gardens that would be instantaneously presented to me, because every person had their own kind of garden going on, and it just came up like there was no effort on my part to know what their garden would look like. Like it's like it was there, it was already there, and I just got to like tour it and help them fix things up a little bit. So if you're struggling to think of a specific scene to help somebody or to help yourself, do this. Do this activity or find a similar one that you would like to do. Like you could picture like organizing someone's house or organizing their dirty garage or something like that. But try that out. I really enjoyed it. And, I'll tell you, a lot of people's gardens look a lot like this background I've chosen today. They're not exactly boring gardens. So go ahead and have fun exploring these unique and exotic gardens that the people in your life have been tending to all this time. All right, so we're about to wrap up. Is there anything else you want to let people know before we head out?
Um, just remember to take your time with things, have fun with it, and if you'd like to go ahead and contact me for additional coaching, you can do so at the link that Webster was kind enough to share. Other than that, happy manifesting.
And happy Easter.
Yes, and happy Easter.
So Daphne, of course, has a site, manifest1922.com. And then also on the screen, I have the link for her Fiverr. And when I end up posting this on YouTube, that link should be included in the description for any of the clips or whatever. So if you do want to get coaching from her, you can go through the Fiverr that way. And then on your website, do you have articles and stuff up now, or is there an email there or anything?
Not yet. That is still a work in progress, but that should be up in the next week.
Okay, that's cool. But yeah, Fiverr. So for right now, Fiverr is probably the best way to get in touch with you if
Yes.
someone wants your consultation, right? Okay, cool. All right, well, thanks so much for tuning in, everybody. Thanks again to Daphne for coming. I think this is another really great chat. Just perfect for Easter. The lecture I probably will do a little bit more of, um, not next stream because I want to finish up Walter Lanyon, but I will do it. I'll probably do it Thursday. I'll probably end up doing it Thursday in combination with another Neville lecture or excerpt. But yeah, we're gonna head out to the music, and yeah, thanks everybody for tuning in. Have a great night and happy Easter.